Reports is deep research built for depth over speed. You give it a budget and it keeps researching until that budget is expended. One thing I've found it really useful for is generating well-researched system design docs that I can then copy into Claude Code to much more easily one-shot a feature. I'm going to use this as an example to show you how reports works. Specifically, we are going to have it create a design doc for local first AI coding assistant, just because that's kind of on trend right now. I'm going to add in that it should be based on the latest research, so specifying my sources and specifying how my output should look. So it should be detailed enough so that an engineer, or in my case Claude Code, can implement that system. So right before we begin, we have an option here to choose our model. I find that Pro works best. That's what's auto-selected anyway. You can choose your budget. The more budget you have, the more in-depth this research is, the more the quality scales, right? So I often run my reports around the $10 to $15 range. For this example, I'm going to do 5. And then you have the option to choose between guided mode and one-shot mode. So one-shot, you hit the prompt, it just starts generating. Guided, it'll ask you some questions first. And I'm going to use guided mode for this example, so let's send it off. So it's going to start asking me some questions. The first question is, to make the system design most useful, which technical component requires the most depth? I can just select my answers to the question. And if I get tired of answering these questions, or I don't really care which direction it goes, I can just start researching. First, as part of the plan, it's going to define some research dimensions, which we can see in the plan section. And it's going to start building up a list of tasks it needs to complete. As it starts completing its first tasks, we'll see the first draft of the document in this tab, with the sources in this tab over here. At any point in this process, if there's something I don't like, a source it's looking at that I don't trust, or a direction it's going in that I don't want, I can simply stop the process here and then send that feedback in a message, and reports will self-correct. As it continues researching, knowledge, so individual facts, can get stored here in its knowledge base, and it also has a notepad where it can do anything with text. You're also going to see this Files tab, and that's going to stay empty unless you added a file as reference at the beginning, or if you provided a file here via chat. And yeah, that's it. Unless there's something that goes wrong that we need to correct, we just wait for it to continue improving itself. If you're interested in seeing how research quality scales with budget, we have a couple examples on our site, as well as all of our benchmark results along with the actual responses. Looking forward to seeing what you do with this, and as always, feel free to leave feedback on our feedback page right here, or send an email to team@webhound.ai. Happy searching.